All right, so this week we're going to look at 12.7. Okay? First section is on age word problems. Okay? Mr. Wright just went over some of the key words you're going to see in these problems. Okay? Basically, we can break down a lot of these key words, especially the ones that mean plus or minus, as either future or something in the past. Okay? Will be. What kind of word do you think that is? Something will be. Is that a future or past? Future. Yeah, future. Okay? So in the future, we're going to think of that as adding. Okay? And then something like years ago. If I said 5 years ago, take the year we're at now. Yeah, it's past. Subtract 5. Okay? So those are the two main things you're going to see in a word problem. Future, past, and one sentence will usually be a present. So we'll show you. Okay, so as I just said, problems about age can involve past, present, or future. Okay? Each word problem is going to involve at least two of these. Present is always in the word problem. Whether it's past or future, well, we'll see when we do the problem. All right, so let's look at an example. Okay, so say you let Tim's age now be T. 6 years from now. Is that future where we add, or is that past? Future. That's future. So how old will Tim be 6 years in the future? Plus 6 to his age now. What's his age now? T. So his age 6 years from now is T plus 6. That's his age in the future. T plus 6. Let's try another one. Let's let R equal Ryan's age now. So how old will Ryan be in 4 years? Is that in the future or is that the past? Future. That's the future. So what operation do we always think of when we think future? Addition. Okay. How old is Ryan right now?
26.
R. Okay. A lot of times, the age right now is going to be a letter, okay?
Yeah,
not a number.
It's a single letter.
So how old will he be in 4 years? R plus 4. That's an expression for Ryan's age 4 years in the future. R plus 4. Now, reading this one. How old was Ryan 8 years ago? Is that future or past? Past. Okay. What operation do you think of when you think past? That's subtraction. What's Ryan's age right now? R? How would we represent his age 8 years ago? Minus 8. That's Ryan's age 8 years ago. Okay? Any question on that? Okay, Ryan's age 7 years from now. Future or past? Well, it's 7 years from now. That's the future. What operation do you think of when you think future? So what's Ryan's age 7 years from now? R. Plus how much? 7. Okay, none of these sentences give you enough information to find out what's R. We'd have to have something else. That's where a second sentence would come in. Okay. Second sentence, and usually a second person. Like, Ryan is 3 times as old as John. Okay, something like that. Okay. Okay, here's one that's a little more tricky. We want to represent 4 times Ryan's age 3 years ago. Okay, first thing you want to do is just represent Ryan's age 3 years ago. So let's think. 3 years ago. Past or future? Travis, what do you think? 3 years ago. Is that the past or is that the future? That's the past. Past, you subtract. Forget about 4 times for now. Tyler, how would you represent Ryan's age 3 years ago? Assume his age now is R. Actually, it's up above, but yeah.
3 years ago would be R minus 7, not R plus 7.
So 3 years ago would be R minus 3. Okay. Now, here's the part where we got to figure this out. 4 times Ryan's age 3 years ago. Okay. Our suggestion, first thing you got to do, anytime you're representing somebody's age in the past or in the future, put it in parentheses. Anytime you represent somebody's age in the past or the future, put it in parentheses. Now, Mr. Roy went over this word. 4 times.
And 4 on the outside of the parentheses.
Exactly. This expression right here represents 4 times Ryan's age 3 years ago. If you don't put it in parentheses, what property would we lose? That we'd lose the distributive property, and that would mess up the whole problem. Okay, so that's very important. Anytime you represent someone's age in the past or the future, we'll put it in parentheses from now on. Okay? Any question on that?
No.
All right.
All right, guys, so just like last week, all right, we're going to have a template that works for the problems we do today, all right, and the problems that we do tomorrow. So this isn't on your sheet. There's obviously some on there. We haven't got to the steps yet. I just want you guys to pay attention, okay? So this is what we're going to use, all right? This is what we're going to use right here, okay? If we go to the next thing, right? Let's try using the table here step by step, all right? So we go down to our steps.
So you got the steps on the line?
Yeah.
Let me put them side by side.
Sure.
Voice irritates me.
All right. So guys, let's take. Can I control this page on its own or not?
Yes.
I can put a thing on there. Oh, perfect. All right. So first thing we want to do, right? We're going to read the problem, guys. Pay attention right now. It's very important. Okay. Isaiah, are you ready to pay attention or not?
I'm just wondering what the table is.
We didn't write it down yet. Don't worry about it. Good question though. All right. So I'm going to read the whole problem first. Paul is 3 times as old as Kathy. In 8 years, he'll be twice as old as she will be. How old is each now? So first thing we want to do in our column right here, right, we want to write in. So we're on step 1 right now. First step is going to be write in the subjects. So right next to number 1, we want to put write in subjects. Good, Eli?
Eli, in the subject, write the people's names.
Right next to number 1. Right next to number 1, we put right in the subjects. Guys, listen. I want to do it, Dominic. I want to do it side by side because I want to see you guys. I want to do it as we go through the steps. All right, so we can understand what's going on. Dominic.
This is kind of off topic, but the question doesn't make sense.
I'm glad I'm not the only
We're going to go through it, man. All right? Just bear with me, okay? So we're going to write in the subjects. So, our first subject is who?
Paul.
First subject is Paul, right? So right on the subject line, Paul. Our other subject is what, Ryan? Who's our other subject? We have Paul, we have who else? Kathy. Excellent. So we just did step 1. We wrote in our 2 subjects, right? Paul and Kathy in this problem. Tomorrow it could be different, but today we're dealing with ages. All right? So we're going to write in our subjects. Next, in row 1, all right, row 1 on your table, we're going to give the subjects different variables. Like Mr. Hager was saying earlier. You're going to have one letter that's going to represent each subject. All right? One letter that's going to represent each subject. All right? So in row 1, give the subjects different variables. All right? So for Paul, Joe, how do you want to represent Paul? P. I like that. So P for Paul. And then Kathy will be what, guys? C. We just did step 2. In row 1, we're going to give the students different. We're going to give the subjects different variables, which we did. P and C. All right, Justin, stay with me, buddy. 3. We're going to set up equation. See the equation line right here? All right, we're going to set up an equation for row 1. All right? We're going to set up an equation for row 1. So, we go back to this, right? Paul is 3 times as old as Kathy. That first sentence is what I'm going to focus on to set up my equation right here in row 1. So Paul, which we look back at our chart, Paul right now, we're representing him as P. P is 3 times as old as Kathy. All right, so we're going to put our 3 here. And then Kathy's what, guys? C, right? P equals 3C. That's Paul, which is P, is equals 3 times 3, as old as Kathy. Kathy's C right now. That's all we know. That's all we know about her. All right? That's all we did in that first row. All we did in that first row was set up stuff for the first sentence. Guys, you just have to listen right now. Don't get carried away. Obviously, you're not going to know how to do it just like that the first time because you haven't seen it before. So just listen. All right? So here's our first row, right? Now, we're on step 3. So we just set up our equation for row 1. Now we're on step 4. In row 2, I should say minus. In row 2, plus or minus the number of years from the variable. All right? In row 2, plus or minus the number of years from the variable. I want to get to that in a second. Just like we did in the warm-up, just like we talked about earlier. All right? So plus or minus. Remember, there's some words that we talked about. Plus, right? This is on your sheet. It says plus, right? Plus could be in a number of years. You would add that number of years that it said. If it says older than, we would add. All right? Those are all adding words. If we're going to add to that variable that's already there for the 2 subjects. We also get subtraction, right? If we have younger than, we want to use subtraction. All right? So in row 2, we'll plus or minus the number of years from the variable. So now, we already handled that first sentence. We did that right here. Now it says, in 8 years. Is that a plus or a minus? Plus, right? Look what we put for our plus. In a number of years. In 8 years. 8's a number, right? We're going to plus. That's what I'm going to put as my heading for my next row. That's what I'm going to put as my heading. Plus what number? 8. Plus 8. So whatever variable I have for my subjects, I'm going to add 8 to that. All right? So my variable for Paul was P. My variable Paul was P, and I'm just going to add 8 to it. For Kathy, it's C, and I'm just adding 8 to it. So like Mr. Hager was talking about earlier, this is like the age now. This is age 8 years from now. Right? Age now, so we're going to age now. Age.
I can't see.
All right, present. Buddy, if you keep turning around and criticizing, I'm just going to ask you to leave. All right? Thank you. All right, so now we go back to this. Now, he will. Who's he, Paul or Kathy? Talking about Paul. Talking about Paul, right? In our future, in our row 2, right? Our row 2 is our future information. Right now, what is Paul? How are we representing Paul in the future? P plus 8, right? In 8 years, it's saying now. Here's our plus 8 column, right? We're in the plus 8 column, on the future column, right? So right now, he is Paul. Paul is 8, right? He's P plus 8 right now. P plus 8. That's he, all right, we covered that. He will be, all right, equals, right, will be is equal, twice, how do I show twice? 2. Twice as old as she will be. How are we representing Kathy in the future? C what? C plus 8, right? So I want to put that in parentheses. All right? All I did was took my information that I had for each subject. In this case, it happens to be people, all right, and their ages. All I did was took that information and just plugged it into what it gave me. So when we're doing these, think of row 1 as the present. Think of row 2 as the future. The only reason why we didn't put present and future, guys, is when we do this stuff tomorrow, we want to be able to use the same template. We don't want to change it too much. We want to be able to use the same thing. That's why we did row 1 and row 2.
And today, row 1 will always be present, but row 2 could be past.
Yep.
Might not always be future.
Could be past. This is a future problem because what it said, right? In the number of years. Now, down. Row 5. Or step 5. We're going to follow the directions. We're going to follow the directions that are already on, right, down below, that are already on your little table. You're just going to follow those directions to figure out the rest. All right? So, yours, for whatever reason, mine got changed here a little bit. On yours, it says, you're going to substitute the parentheses from row 1 equation for the variable it represents in row 2 equation. So we're going to take what this represents in row 2 and substitute. All right? So we have P, right? P is first in this equation. We're going to substitute. We're going to take this 3C and plug it in for P. We're going to take what's inside the parentheses and plug it in for the letter it represents in the row 2 equation. So we're going to get 3C plus 8 equals 2C plus 8. All I did was we know 3C represents P. We just took it and plugged it in. That's all we did. That's all we did. And we left out because it just happened to be the first variable in that equation. And then now we're just going to solve like we solved equations all year, right? We have no like terms on this side, so it's going to bring them down. 3C plus 8. You might have like terms over here. You might have distribution over here. On this side, we have distribution, right? When I distribute, what would I get? I distribute on this side, what do I get, guys? 2C plus? 2C plus? Guys? 2C plus what? 2 times 8? 16, right? Now, Will, what would I do now? Subtract 16? Okay, you're not wrong. What I would do, Will, is instead of subtracting 16, what could Will do instead? He could subtract the 8. I like to move the small. You're not wrong, Will, but you're going to be dealing with negatives. All right? I like to move the smaller number. 8 smaller than 16, so I'm going to subtract 8. That's going to cancel out. I'm going to bring down my 3C equals 2C. On this side, what's left for a number? Positive or negative? Positive what? Positive 8. 16 minus 8 is 8. Travis, now what? You can do this. Don't give me that. I know you can do it. Yes, you do. Sure you do. Which one of these things is not like the two others? The plus 8, right? What's on that side with it? So I got to move this, right? Or get rid of it. How do I do it? Minus 2C. So you do know how to do it. Minus 2C leaves me with what on this side, Travis? Or just C. C equals 8, right? I just solved for C, right? C equals 8. Now, I'm going to take what I just solved for, this C equals 8. I'm going to do it on this side. All right, so I had C equals 8. I'm going to take it, and I'm going to plug it in to my equation from row 1. And that'll give me, because P, see how like I was saying earlier when we're doing substitution, you always want to try to go to the variable that's already by itself. P is already by itself. I want to go back and plug it in. All right? So I get P equals what?
3,
Yep.
8.
3 times 8, right? So I can put parentheses around my 8. If you put a little dot in between, that's fine too. You're not wrong. So P would be 3 times 8 is what, guys? 24. I know, guys, that it's like some people, it's freaking some people out. And I go back up here. On each problem, we're going to have the label already set up for you. So Paul is how much? Paul is what? 24. Kathy is 8. 24 and 8. I know it seems like a long, involved process, but guys, we want to try to give you some concrete way of being able to do it. Now, like earlier, when we were doing the warm-up, Austin was like, well, Mr. Roy, I did it this way, I get the same answer. Austin did elimination. If you see it in elimination and some of these problems might make more sense to you, do it. I think, Mr. Hager thinks, that substitution works better. And I know it's unfortunate that we did elimination last week, now we're going back to substitution, but that's something that we'll take into account next year, all right? But for these, substitution works better, all right? So, like I said, I know it's a long, involved process, but just bear with it. It's not that bad. You can do it.
Want to tell us the name now? What
Huh?
the title is going to be?
Yeah.
It's going to be systems of equations, age problems.
Okay, if there is kind of anything nice about the age problems, is the way that Mr. Roy has set it up is going to work very well, so you use the same method every single time. You're not going to have to learn anything new. It's the same method every single time. Did everyone have the title? Systems of equations, age problems?
You guys, just like the template will be on the test, just like we did last week for elimination. We'll have that same template on the test on Thursday. It'll be on the homework. All right, if we do stuff in class in terms of practice, it'll be there. Okay?
All right, so let's just read through the first problem. Okay, it's our second problem. Let's see what we got.
Guys, just read that. Even just read that first sentence and just identify your two subjects, because that doesn't involve you doing any math.
Okay, so let's say, Vaughn, what are my two subjects?
Lee and Wolf.
Yep, good. Okay, so there's step one. At least we know what we're looking for. Leah and Walt. Okay, Justin, how could I represent Leah's age?
L.
Sure, let's use L. I'm just going to use a capital L so it doesn't look like a 1. Okay, and Walt's age. Laura? Yeah. Okay, now that equation that you get in row 1, I think in every problem, this is going to be the present. Pretty sure that first sentence.
These ones set it up is always going to be present.
Yeah.
And we're going to try, guys, when we do stuff tomorrow, we're going to try to set it up so when you get to that equation in row 1, the variable will be by itself, or you have an opportunity to get it by itself.
Okay, so now look at your first equation. It says Leah is. Okay, William, what does is mean? Equals. And how did we represent Leah? L. L is. Okay, so L is the letter that's by itself. L is. Now, 8 years younger than Walt. Okay, Ryan, which operation when you think younger? Subtraction, good. Now, how would we represent 8 years younger than Walt?
8.
Or you can think of it as like Walt's age decreased by 8. Same thing. Yep. Okay, so just be careful on your order there. 8 years younger means you take the person's age and subtract 8. So the number comes at the end.
Yeah, like that's like a less than or decrease by, right? Those are those flip words. You gotta flip how you write it. You want to put the variable first, minus whatever the number is.
Okay, now row 2. This is going to be the one that's either about past or future. Okay. 12 years ago. Are we talking about past or future? That's the past. Okay. So what operation, when you think past, do we use? 12 years ago. Negative, minus, yep.
So what, guys, our heading, like I did in the first one, our heading in row 2 should be what? And we know it's gonna be a past problem. Remember the last one we did? We put like +8. What should Mr. Hager put for a heading for row 2? -8, right? Because it's younger than, so his heading is gonna be -8 for row 2. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see it. So you get mine. We're in that second part. Don't listen to me. Erase it.
Oh my god.
Scratch it up.
So we're good so
I'm ahead of
far.
myself.
So what do we want to put? What's our heading on row 2?
What's it say? 12 years ago. -12.
So now what do we put in each of those boxes? So L, yep. Marcus?
And then -12.
-12. And now what was Walt's age 12 years ago?
W,
Yep.
-12.
Good. Now we're going to use these to set up our second equation. Okay. So 12 years ago, Walt was twice as old as Leah was. Okay. Remember, we're using these now.
Yeah.
So 12 years ago, Walt was. How old was Walt 12 years ago?
How are we representing that? No, remember, Walt's the first thing that's on there, right? We're talking about the past now. How are we representing Walt in the past? Huh? W. Go ahead, Marcus.
Wouldn't be L -12.
No, we're talking about Walt, though, buddy.
Oh.
How are we representing Walt? In the present, we're representing Walt as W, right?
Yes.
In the past, now it's the past problem. How are we representing Walt? W -12, right? There's my present, there's my past. I'm representing Walt as W -12, all right?
Okay, so it says 12 years ago. This is age 12 years ago. He was twice as old as Leah was then. How old was Leah 12 years ago?
2.
No, how we, Leah in the present is L. Leah in the present is L, in the past is L -12. Yeah?
Now, it doesn't just say Walt was, without, it has this number here, twice. Parentheses, yep. And 2. So Walt, 12 years ago, Walt was twice as old as Leah was.
So who's old?
12. So now, now we'll figure it out.
I think Walt.
Okay. So what's my
Now you guys,
Next step.
I don't know why it didn't come up with your directions. You want to take what's in your row 1, right? What's in your parentheses. You want to take what's in your parentheses and plug it in to row 2. So that W -8, right? What does that represent?
L.
L, right?
All right, so in that second equation, you're going to change L to W -8. Okay, and if we can get to that equation, that's the hard part. The rest of it is just solving and combining like terms and distributive property. Okay, so Justin, what's going to be on the left? What's on the left right now?
We're use the row 2 equation.
What's up, Captain?
Yep. Okay, now I'm still going to have the 2. But Eli, what am I going to fill in for the L?
You're going to fill in W-8.
Yep. Perfect.
Take what's inside the parentheses and plug it in for what it represents in row number 2, the equation.
Now what still comes after the W -8? Still have to put one more thing before I can close that
After
parenthesis.
the L you're substituted for, what's after it?
-12.
-12, good.
All right, so order of operations, okay? Always do what's in your parentheses first. What's -8 minus 12? Tyler?
What?
What's
Negative
negative
eight,
8 minus
negative
12?
Negative 20.
Good. Negative 20. Okay. Now what property do I have to use? Yep, I'm going to distribute. Okay, so I got 2 times W, Ben? What's 2 times W?
2W.
2W, good. And what's 2 times 20? 40. All right. If we do this right, we can avoid negatives. Laura, should I move the 12 or should I move the 40? Yep. How would you move it? What would you do? Add it. Good. So now on the right-hand side, I still have 2W. Okay, Victoria, what's negative 12 plus 40? Or think of it as 40 take away 12. So what's 40 take away 10? Now take away 2 more. 28. Okay, and my last step. Sam, what do I do for my last step? Good, minus W.
I don't think we have enough.
Minus W. And what's, Isaiah, what's 2W take away 1W? Just W. So now we've got Walt's age. Okay. Once we get Walt's age, if you go back up to your equation in row 1, you've got a formula for finding the other person's age. Okay. It says Leah is Walt's age minus 8. But now we know Walt's age.
28.
28. Walt is 28. Take away 8. So how old is Leah? 20. Okay. Any question on that? Okay, so let me show you the four real important parts here. Okay. Equation 1. Okay, that's when I look at this on the test, that's one thing I'm going to look for. Did you get that equation? Okay. Did you get the second equation? And then were you able to find each person's age? Okay, so those are the 4 big things I'm going to look for. Okay,
Mr. Hager, want me to do one?
I'm trying.
Wait a second, we don't like you. You're just saying that we don't like you that much, that's all. That's good. Look, what happened to your slippers? Change them up? Okay. All right, let's do this one, guys. All right, so you guys can do this, take 10 seconds and identify, I want you to identify the 2 subjects on your paper, not to me, on your paper. When I ask you to give them to me, then you can give them to me.
Mr. We're gonna do this.
Huh?
And that, that's gonna wait, I'm gonna tell me, so I'll start to tell you.
All right. Isaiah, what's up, man?
Example A has nothing.
Huh? I know. So we're gonna let you guys try one on your own. And we didn't want to write it in so you guys. Some of you guys go ahead. I know. We wanted to all do it together. That's why I didn't do it. All right. So this one, right? Maddie, give me one of my subjects. Elaine, right? So I'm gonna put Elaine here. Ben, what's my other subject? Al. Take another 10. I want you to take another 10 seconds and write in your variables for row 1.
I got it.
Take another 10 seconds. Write in your variables for row 1.
You did.
Good. Hey, I see nothing in you. Write something in.
Lift him up and throw him into the
All right. So Elaine, you just told me, Tyler. Elaine is E, and Big Al is A. All right. Now we get to the tough part. We got to use this first sentence.
E equals 15.
Now, careful. Stop. Think now, right? Tyler, what you said for the beginning, I agree with. I agree with your E. And then we already have our equal sign there is,
15.
what does,
A.
Laura, what does younger than mean?
Minus.
Subtract, right? Subtract. So I'm going to minus,
15 minus.
I'm going to minus,
A.
what am I minusing? What number? What number am I minusing?
1A.
15, right?
A.
Remember, an A is going to go here, right? Remember, younger than, decreased by, less than. Those are the those are flip words. All right? That means the variable is going to come first, and then the number is going to come after. All right? You're going to flip them around. All right? Now, Austin, my heading for row 2. What should it be? I know. Remember all the problems we've done here, right? We've put a sign and we put a number, right? What am I going to put there? What sign and what number? I think the last one we did like +8. Minus 10, right? Minus 10, right? Because 10 years ago. Minus 10. All right? Sam, S. What do I put in this row and this row? What do I put in this row and this row? On this box and this box? E minus 10, good. And the next row? A minus 10. There we go. All right, so we're in good shape. That's an E. That's an E. Right? Better? All right, so we have E minus 10, A minus 10. Now, I want you to take on your own about 30 seconds to a minute. I want you to try to figure out that equation. Then we'll come back together. All right, if you need to work with the partner in front of you, that's fine. That doesn't mean work with the partner 3 people seated away from you. That means work with the person right next to you. I'm glad when people are working together, and that's great. You guys are actually being productive, which is really very cool. All right. So I just had Katie come up here, and Katie told me A minus 10 equals 4 parentheses E minus 10. Let's go back up. I'm worried about this sentence, right? 10 years ago, minus 10, like Shelby told us before we started. My heading here is going to be minus 10. Al, so all we're focused on right now is worry about that row right now. So Al in the past, how are we representing Al in the past? Right? Here's Al, here's the past, A minus 10. All right? Al in the past, right now, is A minus 10. Equals, right? Was means equals. Was 4 times, all right? 4. I think Isaiah was telling us earlier, put the number on the outside, then put your parentheses, and then as old as Elaine was then. Elaine is E minus 10. So we plug it in. All right? That's all we did. When you get to that second sentence, you want to plug in this information. That's all you want to do. All right? Now, I want you guys, with the groups that you're working with, I want you to solve for both. I want you to solve for Elaine and solve for Al.
All right, so now we got our first 2 equations. Okay, who can tell me, what do I do next? Hold on, can't hear Victoria. Then you be quiet. Thank you. Go ahead. Yeah. You said plug in what?
A minus 10 equals 4. And then you put the parentheses.
Okay, let me start writing that down. A minus 10 equals 4. Yep.
And you put the parentheses of A minus 15 minus 10.
Perfect. Okay. So she took A minus 15. Okay. Right?
There you go. Very
And
good.
plugged it in for E. Okay, guys, let's finish up. Okay. Any question on that, the first step? Okay. Now, I saw people do this a couple different ways. Some people distributed the 4. That's okay. Or why don't we just combine like terms inside first? So then we only have 2 things instead of 3. What's, Spencer, what's negative 15 minus 10? Negative 15 minus 10, you get it right on your paper?
25.
Negative 25. Okay.
Hold on.
Okay, next step. What do I do with this 4?
We distribute it.
Yep, I'm going to distribute it. Left-hand side stays the same for now. Isaiah, what's 4 times A?
4A.
Good. What's 4 times negative 25? Negative 100. Okay, Sivan, what's my next step?
You you subtract 4A from the red side.
Okay, hold on, not everyone's listening to you. Ben, do you have a question?
You multiply 4 times
Now you
25.
subtract first.
Okay, next step, let's put that minus 10 on the other side.
Okay, so you add 10
I'm going to add 10.
to each side.
Add 10.
So,
All right, so
you want me to finish?
sure, go ahead, Sivan.
All right, so you it's A equals 4A minus 90.
Minus 90.
You subtract 4A from both sides,
Yep,
and then you get negative 3 both sides.
negative 3 what?
A equals negative 90, and then you divide negative 3 from each side.
Okay, so it's a good thing we got a negative on both sides because what's going to happen now?
And then you get
It cancels out.
A,
Cancels out.
and then you get A equals 30.
30.
Positive.
Okay, now keep in mind if you solve it and you get someone's age as a decimal, all these problems in this section should come out no decimals. If you get someone's age that comes out negative, chances are your sign is off somewhere. Okay, but it's probably just a simple mistake with your signs. Okay, what do we do now that we have Al's age? We got to figure out Elaine's age. Who can tell me, how do I get Elaine's age? Shelby?
You take the first equation
Yep.
and you change the A to 30.
Right. We have an equation for Elaine's age. The only problem is we didn't know Al's age at the beginning. Now we do. Okay, Al is 30. So you said plug in 30 for what letter? Good. Plug in 30 for A. So how old is Elaine? 15. Okay, so again, real important things. I've got to see your first equation, how you did row 1, your second equation, and then solving for each one. If you just want to circle them like that, that's fine. If you want to go back up and put them in on these lines, that's fine too. Most people on the test just circle it, and that's okay. Any question on that? All right, so Mr. Wright, you want to have them do that one on your own now? Okay. So guys, try this one on your own.
Okay, so you have the space where it says try this, you have the space